Okay, so look, we're witnessing something genuinely seismic. A huge shift happening right now on the digital frontier.
Yeah, it really feels that way.
It's this powerful convergence, right? Where artificial intelligence and decentralized crypto, they're not just like sitting side by side, they're actually fusing.
Fusing is the right word.
And this isn't just an intersection, we're talking about a whole new paradigm for finance, for ownership, for how we interact online. But what does that really mean for you, whether you're deep into crypto or maybe just curious about what's next?
Yeah, breaking it down is key.
Exactly. So our goal here in this exploration is to help cut through all the noise, all the hype. We've dug into a lot of source material, a really comprehensive analysis.
Huge amounts of data.
Right. To give you a clear sort of data-driven picture of where this AI crypto frontier is actually heading. Think of it like having this tireless research team sorting through thousands of documents. Academic papers, market data, everything.
Cross-referencing it all.
Just to pull out those key themes, those insights you might miss otherwise.
And today, we're really going to zero in on one specific crucial area of this whole thing. Decentralized finance, DeFi. And how algorithmic intelligence looks set to completely revolutionize it.
Okay. DeFi.
Yeah. I mean, DeFi's already shown its immense power, right? Financial services without the old middlemen.
Like banks and brokers.
Exactly. We're talking lending, borrowing, lending your ether, maybe borrowing some tether, trading, insurance, all happening peer-to-peer on networks like Ethereum or Polygon. It's genuinely groundbreaking stuff.
No question.
But, and it's a significant but, even with all that innovation, DeFi today still faces some real hurdles.
Like what specifically?
Well, you've got high transaction fees, gas fees, right?
Yeah.
They can make smaller trades on places like Uniswap or adding small amounts of liquidity. Just not really worth it sometimes.
Yeah, I felt that pain.
And then there's impermanent loss for liquidity providers. That one's a bit tricky, but it's a real headache.
Can you unpack that a little?
Sure. So imagine you put two different cryptos, let's say Bitcoin, BTC, and Ether, ETH, into a liquidity pool. If the price of one changes a lot compared to the other, well, you might actually end up with less total dollar value than if you just held onto the coins yourself.
Ah, okay. So providing liquidity isn't always a guaranteed win.
Not always, no. It's a subtle risk. Plus, just figuring out how to get the best return, optimizing your yield across all these different protocols,
Yeah.
it's complex. It takes time. And, the system's still vulnerable to certain kinds of market manipulation.
Okay, so those are the challenges. And this is where AI comes in as the next evolutionary leap you mentioned.
Precisely.
How does AI actually make DeFi better? More efficient, you said, more profitable, more secure? What does it do?
Well, our analysis points very strongly towards AI being poised to tackle exactly those areas, making DeFi significantly more efficient, potentially more profitable, and definitely strengthening security. Think of it as adding a layer of intelligence that can navigate these complex digital markets way better than humans alone.
Okay, interesting. So let's maybe break down those applications. You mentioned yield optimization first. That sounds like something a lot of DeFi users struggle with.
Definitely.
Right now, if you want to squeeze the most return out of, say, your stablecoins like USDC across different platforms, it takes a lot of manual work, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You're constantly checking rates, understanding staking rules, moving assets around. It can honestly feel like a full-time job.
Or a second one you never asked for.
Exactly. So how does AI fix that? How does it take away that constant monitoring burden?
Okay, so this is where you see these AI-driven yield aggregators or optimizers. And this is where things get really interesting. These aren't just simple bots. They're incredibly sophisticated.
How so?
They can analyze real-time market data across the entire DeFi landscape. They assess risk across loads of different liquidity pools, different lending platforms, think above, compound, you name it.
Yeah.
And then they dynamically allocate your capital.
Dynamically, meaning they move it around automatically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Automatically moving funds to maximize your returns while, and this is crucial, minimizing your exposure to risks like that impermanent loss we talked about.
Wow.
And it's not just about finding the best rate right now. The AI can spot lucrative farming opportunities instantly, yes, but it can also execute really complex arbitrage strategies.
Arbitrage, like finding tiny price differences for the same coin on different exchanges.
Precisely. Maybe for something like Solana, SOL, the AI spots a difference between two decentralized exchanges and makes a tiny profit repeatedly. It can even start to predict market shifts to protect your capital before something like impermanent loss hits hard.
That level of foresight and speed,
Yeah.
it's just impossible for a person,
On
right?
a continuous 24/7 global basis, absolutely impossible.
Hmm.
It's like having a super intelligent, always-on fund manager working just for your digital assets.
And that's huge because it's not just making life easier for the DeFi pros, is it? It sounds like it makes DeFi much more accessible for, the average person, someone who maybe has some ETH, but is kind of intimidated by all the complexity of yield farming.
That's a major benefit. It democratizes access, lowers the barrier to entry.
And for the whole system, it means capital flows where it's needed most, where it can generate the most value, better efficiency overall.
Absolutely. More capital efficiency across the board.
Okay, so yield optimization is one big area. What about risk and security? You mentioned DeFi still has vulnerabilities.
Yes, and this is another area where AI could be a game changer. We know threats like flash loan attacks are still a problem.
Can you remind us quickly what those are?
Sure, a flash loan lets someone borrow a huge amount of crypto, use it, manipulate markets, maybe exploit a price difference on an exchange, and then repay the loan, all within a single transaction block. Lightning fast, often exploiting some weakness.
Nasty stuff.
Yeah. And then you have plain old smart contract bugs or vulnerabilities. AI can act as this advanced guardian here. It shifts security from being reactive, cleaning up after an attack, to being proactive, predicting threats
How does it predict them?
by constantly monitoring transaction patterns, looking for anomalies, things that look out of place, things that might signal malicious activity. It can potentially predict exploits before they happen. It can even audit the smart contract code itself, looking for subtle flaws humans might miss.
How? Just by reading the code.
By analyzing massive amounts of historical data, looking at every successful transaction, every failed transaction, every past attack across different chains, it learns these patterns, these attack vectors, and builds predictive models.
So it learns from past mistakes, basically.
On a massive scale, yes. It's like having this digital detective that's learned from every crypto heist ever attempted anywhere in the world and uses that knowledge to predict where the next weak spot might be.
That sounds incredibly powerful, almost like giving DeFi its own immune system.
That's a good analogy.
But does relying on AI for security introduce new risks? What if the AI gets it wrong? Or if the AI itself is compromised? Still, I can see how that proactive stance is vital for DeFi to really go mainstream.
Builds trust, right?
Exactly. It's crucial for long-term sustainability and adoption.
Okay, and the third area, algorithmic trading and liquidity.
Right. This is also developing fast, AI-powered trading bots.
We hear about bots, but what makes the AI ones different?
They can execute much more sophisticated strategies. They can spot those arbitrage opportunities we mentioned across exchanges like PancakeSwap or Curve Finance with incredible speed. And, crucially, they can provide liquidity more efficiently
More efficiently.
by being more adaptable. They adjust to market conditions in real time. They find the best way to route orders to minimize price impact when trading, say, Cardano, ADA, or Polkadot, DOT. They can even factor in things like news sentiment from social media or news feeds to inform their decisions.
So they're not just following simple rules, they're learning and adapting constantly. And the benefit for everyone using these exchanges is deeper liquidity, meaning your trades move the price, less reduced slippage, and just a more stable, robust trading environment.
So decentralized exchanges will increasingly rely on these smart algorithms.
It looks that way. Intelligent market makers, smart order routing, it's becoming essential for fairness and efficiency. It helps build a more resilient market overall.
Okay, so AI yield optimizers, AI security guardians, AI traders, and liquidity providers. It sounds incredibly promising. But surely it's not all smooth sailing. What are the catches, the challenges?
No, absolutely not. And our analysis definitely flags some critical challenges, things we need to be really mindful of.
Such as?
Well, one huge one is the reliance on data feeds. Oracles, they're called. These are what tell the blockchain about the real world, like the current price of Bitcoin. If these oracles feed bad data, whether by accident or maliciously, it could cause chaos in AI-driven DeFi systems that rely on that data. Cascading failures are a real risk.
So the AI is only as good as the data it gets.
Precisely. Then there's the whole question of explainability.
Meaning understanding why the AI did something.
Exactly. If an autonomous AI makes a big financial decision within a DeFi protocol and something goes wrong, how do we figure out why? Who or what is accountable? Especially in a decentralized system, it gets very tricky.
Yeah, I can see that. Accountability is tough without a central authority.
And layered on top of all that is regulatory uncertainty. Governments are still figuring out how to even classify these things, let alone regulate them. How do you oversee an autonomous financial system? These are big, fundamental questions.
Right. Those are definitely significant hurdles. Explainability, reliable oracles, regulation. But stepping back, even with those challenges, the overall picture you're painting is still overwhelmingly positive, isn't it? Transformative.
I think so, yes. The analysis suggests the potential upsides are enormous.
This fusion of AI and DeFi, it's not science fiction. It's happening now. It's actively reshaping things.
It really is. As the AI gets smarter, it's set to automate away a lot of the current friction and complexity in DeFi, making it more robust, way more efficient, and hopefully much more accessible.
So what does this mean for the different people involved? If you're an investor listening to this.
For investors, it points towards smarter opportunities. Potentially higher yields, yes, but also achieved with much less manual effort and possibly better risk management.
And for developers, people building the next generation of DeFi.
It opens up totally new ways to build, creating protocols that are inherently more optimized, more secure, thanks to embedded AI.
And for just the average user.
It promises a financial system that isn't just decentralized, isn't just permissionless, but is also incredibly intelligent. A future where your digital assets could be managed with a level of precision and foresight that's just unimaginable today.
That's quite a future to consider. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about how this shift really fundamentally changes our relationship with finance, with ownership, not just online, but maybe in broader parts of our lives too.
That's a deep question.
What new kinds of digital ownership or financial services could possibly emerge when AI becomes the engine driving this decentralized world? It's definitely something worth keeping an eye on. We really encourage you to stay curious, keep exploring these powerful technologies colliding. They really are shaping tomorrow's world right now.